Hey guys, tonight we are going on a journey. And I mean a journey. This isn't a story about a battle, or a king, or a forgotten city. This is about you. We're going to travel back in time to feudal Japan, to a path of devotion so extreme, so unbelievably difficult, that honestly, you probably quit on the first day. I know I would. It's a spiritual marathon that makes running an actual marathon look like a casual stroll to the fridge. We're going to explore the ancient and forbidden practice of Sokushinbutsu, the ritual of becoming a mummy while you're still alive. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Your support means the world. And while you're at it, I'd love to know where you're listening from. Tell me your city and the time right now in the comments below. It's always fascinating to see where our little community gathers from. Now dim the lights. Maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum. And let's ease into tonight's journey together. The air is cold. Colder than you're used to. It clings to your thin robes and seeps into your bones. A damp, persistent chill that seems to rise from the very soil itself. You're standing on a mountain path, somewhere in the misty, rugged provinces of northern Japan. The trees around you, ancient cedars and gnarled pines, are silent giants. Their highest branches swallowed by a low-hanging fog that blurs the world in two shades of grey and deep green. The only sounds are the gentle rustle of leaves under your worn straw sandals and the distant, rhythmic chant of monks from a temple you can't yet see. You are not a warrior. You hold no sword, wear no armor. You are not a nobleman, with fine silks and a grand estate. You are, well, you're just you. Perhaps a farmer whose hands are calloused from a lifetime of working the soil. Or a fisherman who knows the moods of the sea better than the faces of your distant family. But something has called you here. It's a question. A quiet but relentless ache in your soul that the noise of everyday life could no longer drown out. A question about what comes after. What it all means. And here, on this mountain, they offer an answer. An answer that is as terrifying as it is profound. The stories you've heard in your village, whispered around fires on cold nights, all center on one legendary figure, Kobodoshi, the great master, the founder of Shingon Buddhism. They say that over 400 years ago, he did not die. No, a man like him couldn't simply die. Instead, he entered a state of profound meditation, a deep stillness called Nyu-Jo. He had his disciples seal him in his tomb, where he sits to this day, body intact, waiting for Moroku, the Buddha of the future, who is prophesied to arrive in some 5.67 million years. It's a long wait, to be sure. But the idea is intoxicating, to conquer death not by avoiding it, but by transforming the very vessel of your life into something eternal. This is the seed of your journey. The monks of this mountain, the Yamabushi or mountain ascetics, believe they can follow in the great master's footsteps. They believe it is possible, through unimaginable discipline, to transform their own living, breathing bodies into incorruptible vessels of faith, to become a Sokushinbutsu, a living Buddha. But how the process is a closely guarded secret, a path of 1,000 days. And then another 1,000, and then another. It is a slow, deliberate shedding of everything that makes you human. Everything that makes you. You. Historians still debate the exact circumstances of Kobodoshi's own passing. Was it a peaceful death, a natural end, that was later mythologized by his devout followers, or did he truly pioneer this radical technique, sealing himself away in a state of suspended animation? Setting a precedent that would ripple through the centuries, the line between history and faith is as blurry as the fog that surrounds you now. You see them sometimes, the other aspirants, men with gaunt faces and eyes that seem to look right through you, their bodies whittled down by a discipline you can only begin to imagine. One of the stranger, less spoken of truths is that the practice blends ancient mountain worship, known as Shugendo, with these Buddhist ideals. It's not just about prayer, it's about enduring nature's harshest trials. You see these men bathing in freezing waterfalls in the dead of winter, their skin turning a shocking red, their charts cutting through the icy air. This isn't just faith, it's a physical battle against the self. You look down at your own hands, still soft compared to theirs. You think of rice, warm and steamy, of a sip of sake, of the simple, forgotten pleasures of a full stomach and a warm bed. All of that is behind you now. Ahead lies the first step, not a grand ceremony, but a simple, brutal choice. The choice to stop eating the food that sustains life, and to start eating the food that will prepare you for a different kind of existence. The mountain air feels thinner now, and as you take a deep breath, you feel the weight of the 1,000 days to come settle upon your shoulders. You take one more look back at the winding path that leads you here, then turn your face towards the unseen temple. You take the first step forward. That first step turns into another, and another. The path grows steeper, the stones slick with moss, the air thims, and each breath feels more deliberate, more significant. Slowly, through the thinning mist, a structure begins to resolve itself. It's not the grand, golden-roofed temple of your imagination. It's a humble, sprawling complex of dark, weathered wood that seems to grow out of the mountain itself. Its lines are simple, practical, and ancient. The scent of rain-soaked earth, damp wood, and a faint, sweet whisper of incense hangs in the air. This is a place of work, not of ostentation. You reach the gate. It is old, unpainted, and stands slightly ajar, a silent invitation. As you step across the threshold, the world outside seems to fall away. The sounds of the forest are replaced by a profound quiet, punctuated only by the rhythmic thump of someone chopping wood in a distant courtyard. A monk, older than the gate itself, seems to emerge from the shadows of a covered walkway. He is bald, his skin is wrinkled and pulled taut over his cheekbones, and his back is slightly stooped. But his eyes are clear and sharp, and they seem to weigh you in a single, unnerving glance. He doesn't ask for your name or where you've come from. He already knows why you are here. Every soul that finds its way up this specific path carries the same question in their heart. He gestures with a slight tilt of his head for you to follow, and you walk behind him, your straw sandals making a soft, scratching sound on the polished, dark wood floors that have been worn smooth by centuries of footsteps. He leads you to a small, bare room. A single ink-washed painting of a mountain hangs on one wall. He sits on a simple cushion, his movements economical and precise, and motions for you to sit opposite him. The silent stretches, thick and heavy. It's a test of your patience, of your resolve. Finally, he speaks, his voice like the rustle of dry leaves. The path you seek to walk, he says, not looking at you but at the painting, is not a path of glory. It is a path of erasure. He pauses. You must erase the man you were. You must erase your desires, your memories are memories, your attachments. You must even erase your own body, transforming it from a vessel of desire into a vessel of dharma. This is it, the formal choice. He explains that the commitment is absolute. For 1,000 days, you will be an acolyte, a novice. This is a well-established practice in many esoteric Buddhist sects in Japan, the Sennichi Kiho Gyoo, the 1,000-day mountain training. Most who undertake it are simply training to become powerful priests, to serve their communities. But for you, and the few others who share this specific goal, this is only the beginning. He tells you that your days will be filled not just with meditation, but with grueling physical labor. You will haul water from the icy mountain streams. You will chop endless cords of firewood, your hands bleeding and then hardening into calluses. You will maintain the temple, sweeping the long corridors, mending the paper screens. Enlightenment, the old monk says, turning his gaze to his own hands, which are gnarled and thick with a lifetime of work, is not found in stillness alone. It is found in the ache of your muscles, the sting of the winter wind, the splinter in your thumb. You must learn to find the eternal in the mundane. This is one of the little-known truths of this path. It wasn't just about starving and meditating, it was about working yourself to the bone, breaking down the body's vanity through sheer, unrelenting toil. He leans forward slightly, and his sharp eyes finally lock onto yours. Why are you here? You must ask yourself this. And you must answer honestly, if only to yourself. Some who come here are driven by true faith. They wish to become a beacon for humanity, to wait with the great master for the coming of the future Buddha. His voice dropped. Others come for different reasons. Perhaps they seek a fame that will outlast their own death. Perhaps they are fleeing from a great sorrow or a great shame in the world below. Perhaps their minds are not clear. Here lies a debate that will echo long after you are gone. Historians and scholars will argue for centuries about the true motivations of the men who chose this. Were they saints, or were they driven by a kind of religious vanity, a desire to be worshipped? Were they visionaries, or were they suffering from profound mental and emotional distress? And this extreme ritual was the only path they could see. The old monk's words hang in the air, acknowledging this very ambiguity. He is telling you that the temple accepts you, that it cannot know your heart. Only you can. If you succeed, he continues, you will be revered, a living Buddha. Your body will become a holy relic, but if you fail, your body will rot like any other. You will be buried behind the temple, in an unmarked grave, your name forgotten. There is no shame in it. Most fail. The mountain decides. Your own body decides. Are you prepared for that, to give everything for a chance at eternity, knowing that the most likely outcome is a quiet, forgotten end? The room is silent again. The choice is laid bare. It is not a promise of salvation, but a contract of immense risk. You feel the weight of it, a physical pressure in your chest. You think of your old life, a fading dream. You think of the cold, the hunger, the pain that is to come. And then you think of that quiet take in your soul, the question that drove you up the mountain. Here, in this room, is the only answer you've ever found that feels real. You look at the old monk, at the infinite patience and sorrow in his eyes. You give a slow, deliberate nod. Just one. A flicker of something, perhaps understanding, perhaps pity crosses his face. He stands, and the interview is over. Come, he says, I will show you where you will sleep. He leads you out of the room, deeper into the temple's heart, to a cell that is little more than a closet with a wooden floor and a single blanket. This is your new world. The journey of Arasua has begun. The door to your small cell slides shut, enclosing you in a space that smells of old wooden dust. This is where your old life ends. The very next morning, before the sun has even thought about rising, a loud bell shatters the pre-dawn stillness. Your new life begins not with quiet contemplation, but with a jolt. You join the other monks in the main hall. The air is frigid, and your breath plumes in the candlelight. The chanting starts, a low, guttural drone that vibrates through the wooden floorboards and up into your very bones. You don't know the words. Not yet, so you just listen, trying to match the rhythm of your breathing to the sound. After the long, cold chant, you are led to the eating hall. And here, you face the first true test of your new path. It's the official start of the first 1,000-day cycle, a diet known as Mokuji Kofuro, which translates roughly to tree-eating training. But it begins with a simple act of subtraction. A monk places a small, simple wooden bowl in front of you. It contains a modest serving of brown rice, some boiled vegetables, and a piece of tofu. It looks plain, but to your stomach, which is already starting to feel hollow, it looks like a feast. But there's a catch. The old monk who interviewed you yesterday is there, observing. He looks at you and gives a barely perceptible shake of his head. H.E.S. not looking at the vegetables, or the tofu. H.E.S. looking at the rice. You are to say goodbye to the 5 grains. No more rice. No more wheat, barley, or millet. For the next 1,000 days, these staples, the very foundation of the Japanese diet and the food that has fueled your body your entire life, are forbidden. This isn't just a dietary choice, it's a profound act of separation from normal society. To refuse rice is to refuse the very symbol of community, of harvest, of a normal life. It is the first major step in erasing the farmer or the fisherman you once were. So, you eat the boiled vegetables. They are bland, unslated, but you devour them. You eat the small cube of tofu, and then you are left with the bowl of rice. You push it away. The gnawing hunger in your belly screams in protest. This is the first of 1,000 small battles you will fight against your own body. This initial phase of the diet is designed to begin the long, slow process of stripping all the fat from your body. The goal is to become lean, to whittle yourself down to muscle and bone, to make your body an inhospitable environment for the bacteria that cause decay after death. It's a brutally effective, long-term weight loss plan. The days fall into a rhythm of hard labor and quiet discipline. You wake in the cold darkness. You chant. You do your work chopping wood until your shoulders scream, carrying buckets of water until your arms feel like they will detach from their sockets, sweeping endless corridors of polished wood. Your body, deprived of its usual fuel, protests. You feel weak, dizzy. Every swing of the axe is an effort of will. Every trip to the well is a monumental task. One of the more peculiar historical details that few people talk about is the sheer amount of physical activity involved. It wasn't just passive starvation. The monks believed that this extreme physical exertion was crucial. It helped to burn fat, of course, but on a spiritual level, it was about pushing the body past its perceived limits. It was a way to discipline the flesh, to prove that the mind, your spirit, was in control. Some historical accounts even mention feats of endurance, like running long distances through the mountains. As part of this training, the idea was to exhaust the body to the point where the spirit could shine through. At night, you collapse onto the hard wooden floor of your cell, your body a symphony of aches, and the hunger. The hunger is a constant companion. It's a dull, hollow ache that never truly leaves you. You dream of food, not lavish feasts, but simple things. A warm rice bowl, a bowl of noodle soup. You wake up with the ghost of these flavors on your tongue, a cruel trick of the mind. You watch the other monks, the ones who are further along the path. They move with a slow, deliberate grace, their faces gaunt, their bodies thin and weary. They seem untroubled by the hunger that is currently your entire world. You see them eating their own meager meals, and you realize your journey has only just begun. A fascinating point of debate among scholars is the psychological impact of this initial stage. Did this severe nutritional deficiency induce a state of mind that was more receptive to spiritual experiences? Modern science tells us that starvation can cause hallucinations, altered states of consciousness. Were the visions and moments of clarity these monks reported genuine spiritual breakthroughs? Or were they byproducts of a brain crying out for glucose perhaps? In a way, they were both. The physical deprivation was the key that unlocked a different kind of perception, a door that could only be opened by starving the body into submission. Days turn into weeks. The sharp, demanding pangs of hunger slowly transform into a dull, constant emptiness. Your body, in its wisdom, begins to adapt. You are shedding weight at an alarming rate. Your robes, once snug, now hang loosely on your frame. When you catch a glimpse of your reflection in a pail of water, you see a stranger staring back at you, whose face is thinner, his cheekbones more prominent. His eyes, however, seem clearer, brighter. You are learning to live with the hunger, to accept it, to see it not as an enemy, but as a tool, a chisel, slowly chipping away at the soft, unnecessary marble of your former self, revealing the shape of the statue that lies beneath. You have survived the first shock. You have said goodbye to rice. But 1,000 days is a long, long time, and the forest is waiting, with a much harsher menu. The seasons turn on the mountain. The vibrant green of summer deepens, then bursts into the fiery reds and golds of autumn, before finally surrendering to the start. skeletal white of winter. Your first year is behind you, then your second. The initial, shocking agony of hunger has subsided into a constant, low-grade hum in the background of your existence. You no longer dream of rice. Your body has forgotten it. But now, the diet changes again. It becomes more severe. The boiled vegetables and tofu, which once seemed like a cruel joke, now feel like a distant luxury. Your bowl, when it is placed before you, is no longer filled with anything grown in a cultivated field. Your menu is now dictated entirely by the forest. You are entering the next phase of the Mokuji Kofio. This is the tree-eating part in its most literal sense. Your diet now consists of what you can forage from the mountain itself: nuts, berries, buds, and, most importantly, bark and roots from the pine trees that cling to the mountainside. The first time you try to eat a piece of pine bark, it's a challenge. It's tough, fibrous, and tastes sharply of resin. You have to chew, and chew, and chew until your jaw aches, just to break it down enough to swallow. The roots are no better earthy, gritty, and bitter. This is not food meant for human consumption. This is survival at its most primal. Your days now have a new rhythm. In addition to your temple chores and meditation, you spend hours in the forest, your eyes scanning the ground, the bushes, the trees. You learn to identify the edible parts of the wilderness. Which berries won't kill you, which roots have the most substance, which type of bark is the least unpalatable. You become a reluctant botanist, your life depending on your ability to read the subtle language of the forest. This diet serves a dual purpose. First, it pushes your body to an even greater extreme of leniencies. There's virtually no fat and very few carbohydrates in this food. You are consuming just enough to keep the biological machinery from shutting down completely. Your body is now cannibalizing any last remnant of fat and, increasingly, its own muscle tissue. You become a study in anatomy. Your ribs are star-clad under your skin, the tendons in your neck and hands standing out like cords. The second purpose is more subtle, and it's a piece of folk science that is both macabre and brilliant. This diet, so devoid of nutrients, further purges your body of anything that might encourage decomposition. You are, in effect, systematically removing the fuel for the bacteria that live inside you, starving them just as you are starving yourself. One of the strangest and most specific details of this diet, a tidbit that often gets lost in the broader narrative, is the consumption of pine needles, not just the bark and roots, but the needles themselves. The monks would sometimes grind them into a sort of powder or steep them to make a thin, bitter tea. They were believed to have medicinal properties that could help preserve the body, but imagine the sensation, the sharp, resinous taste. It's an intimate, visceral connection with the forest, absorbing its very essence. You feel a profound change, not just in your body, but in your senses. The world seems sharper, more intense, deprived of the dulling comfort of a full stomach. Your perception is heightened. The scent of damp earth after a rain is almost overwhelming. The sound of a single bird's song is a complex symphony. The sight of the moon through the bare branches of a winter tree is so beautiful it makes your heart ache. Is this a spiritual awakening? Or the hyper-awareness of a starving animal? The line is impossibly thin. The other monks are your silent companions in this process. There is no complaining, no commiseration. There is only a shared, unspoken understanding. You see the same hollowness in their cheeks, the same slow, deliberate way they move to conserve energy. You work alongside them, forage alongside them, and sit in silence alongside them. A bond is formed, not through words, but through shared hardship. Historians continue to debate the efficacy and the precise ingredients of this tree-eater diet. The practice was often secretive, passed down from master to disciple, and varied from temple to temple, from region to region. Some sources suggest the inclusion of certain types of mosses or fungi, while others are vaguer, simply stating inedible mountain things. Was there a precise recipe for mummification? A lost knowledge of natural preservation, or was it simply about pushing the body to the brink of starvation by any means necessary? Using whatever the mountain provided, the lack of definitive records means we can only piece together the general outline, leaving the specific, bitter flavors of this diet to the imagination. You are becoming part of the mountain. You eat its flesh. You drink its water. You breathe its air. The separation between your body and the world around you begins to feel arbitrary, illusory. You are no longer a farmer who works the land, you are the land. You are the tree, the rock, the stream. Your former identity is a ghost. A story you can barely remember telling. The hunger is still there, but it has changed. It is no longer a void demanding to be filled. It is just emptiness, a clean, quiet, and profound emptiness that has become the canvas of your entire existence. The first 1,000 days are almost over, and you are ready for the next step. A step that will turn your body from a temple into a tomb. The days grow shorter, the nights colder. Your movements have become slow, almost trance-like. A necessary economy of motion to preserve the flickering candle of your life force. It is in this state of profound physical depletion that your mind begins to play tricks on you. Or perhaps, it begins to reveal truths you were previously unable to see. You are out in the forest, gathering pine bough. Your fingers numb from the cold. As you look up, you see the face of your mother in the gnarled patterns of the wood. Her expression is one of deep sadness. You blink, and it's gone. It's just a tree. But the feeling, the sudden, sharp pang of love and loss, is intensely real. This is the new landscape of your mind. The boundary between the inner world and the outer world is starting to dissolve. The profound, unrelenting hunger and physical stress are inducing a state of constant, low-grade hallucination. You're not seeing dragons or demons. Not yet. It's more subtle than that. You hear whispers on the wind that sound like your name. You see fleeting movements in the corner of your vision that vanish when you turn to look. During the long, cold hours of meditation in the temple hall, the visions become more vivid. You close your eyes, and you are no longer in the hall. You are walking through the rice paddies of your childhood, the warm mud squishing between your toes. You can smell the sun on the drying hay. The sensation is so complete, so utterly convincing, that when the bell rings to signal the end of meditation, the return to the cold, hard reality of the temple is a violent shock. These are not just daydreams. They are immersive, sensory experiences. Your starving brain, desperate for stimulation and glucose, is creating its own reality. You understand now why the old monk warned you about those who come here with minds that are not clear. If you came to this path already troubled, these visions could easily overwhelm you, dragging you into a labyrinth of your own making from which you might never escape. You have to learn a new kind of discipline, not just the discipline of the body, but the discipline of the mind. You must learn to observe these hallucinations without attachment, to see the face of your mother in the tree and acknowledge it all. A memory, a feeling of attachment, and then let it go. To walk through the phantom rice paddies of your past and recognize them as a product of your starved mind, a desire for a life you have left behind. You must treat these visions as you treat your thoughts in meditation, as clouds passing through the vast, empty sky of your consciousness. One of the more obscure aspects of this training is the concept of mokyo, a Zen term that literally means ghost cave or devil's realm. It refers to the hallucinations, visions, and perceptual distortions that can arise during intense meditation. Experienced masters knew that these were not signs of enlightenment, but rather dangerous pitfalls on the path. They would coach their students to ignore them, to not be seduced by beautiful visions or terrified by monstrous ones. Your journey of Sokushinbutsu is, in many ways, a forced, continuous walk through the realm of mokyo. You are living it. The question that echoes through the halls of academia is a familiar one. What is the nature of a religious experience when these monks reported seeing Buddhas and Bodhisattvas? Were they having a genuine mystical encounter? Or were they experiencing a neurologically induced hallucination shaped by their deep-seated religious beliefs? Modern brain science can point to the specific areas of the temporal lobe that might become hyperactive during starvation or deep meditation, producing such experiences. But does explaining the how negate the meaning of the what for you? Sitting on the cold floor, the distinction is meaningless. The experience is real. The challenge is to see it for what it is and not be led astray. Sometimes, the visions are not so benign. In the deep of the night, in your small, dark cell, the hunger can feel like a living entity, a creature gnawing at you from the inside. In this state of fear and weakness, darker things surface. You see figures of shadow lurking just beyond the candlelight. You hear mocking laughter that seems to come from within your own skull. These are your own fears, your own doubts, given form by your exhausted mind. The fear of failure, the fear of death, the fear of the agonizing process that still lies ahead. You learn to breathe through it. You focus on the sound of your own slow heartbeat. You focus on the physical sensation of the cold wood beneath you. You anchor yourself in the present moment, in the physical reality of your body, however frail it may be. This is the true battle. It is not fought with an axe or a sword, but with the focused power of your will. In the silent, terrifying theater of your own mind, you are learning that the body and mind are inextricably linked. As you have stripped the fattened muscle from your frame, so too must you strip the attachments and delusions from your consciousness. The physical hunger and the spiritual hunger are one and the same. By enduring the first, you are gaining mastery over the second. The visions are becoming less frequent now, or perhaps you are just becoming more adept at letting them go. The phantoms of your past no longer have the same hold over you. The clean, quiet emptiness you felt before is returning, deeper and more stable this time. You are winning the battle, but the war is far from over. The world has shrunk to the size of this mountain. The temple, the forest, the stream, this is your entire universe. The life you lived before, in the world below, feels like a story you read in a book long ago, about someone else. The rhythm of your days is dictated not by a clock, but by the sun and the moon, and by the deep, resonant toll of the temple bell. Your primary companions are no longer people, but the elements. Your most intimate relationship is with the cold. It's a constant presence, seeping through your thin robes, chilling the stone paths under your feet, turning your breath to mist. You no longer fight it. You have learned to accept it, to let it into you. It feels clean, pure. It slows your metabolism, calms the frantic demands of your body. It is another tool in this long, slow process of preservation. You spend a part of each day down by the mountain stream. The water is achingly cold, even in summer, fed by springs deep within the earth. Here, you perform as a gorye, the practice of purification by bathing in cold water. You fill wooden buckets and pour the icy water over your head and body, again and again. The initial shock is breathtaking, a jolt that seems to stop your heart. Your skin turns red, then blue. Your teeth chatter uncontrollably. But you stand your ground, chanting. The sound is thin and reedy, forced from your constricted chest. This isn't about hygiene. It's an act of endurance, of penance. It's about willingly subjecting yourself to hardship, to shock the system and prove the mind's dominance over the body's instinct to flee from pain and seek comfort. As you pour another bucket over your head, the shock subsides into a strange, clear-headed numbness. Your skin tingles, and for a few moments, you feel intensely, vividly alive. After the ordeal of the stream, you might spend hours in meditation, not in the temple hall, but on a flat rock overlooking a valley. Here, your only companion is the wind. It whispers through the pines, a constant, sighing presence. You learn its mood, the gentle breeze of a clear afternoon, the sharp, biting gusts that precede a storm. Use it, unmoving, letting it flow around you. You are no longer an obstacle to the wind, but a part of the landscape it moves through. This solitary communion with nature is a cornerstone of Shagenda, the ancient faith of the mountain ascetics that is woven into the very fabric of your Buddhist practice. Shugendo teaches that the mountains themselves are sacred, that spirits kami reside in the trees, the rocks, the waterfalls. Enlightenment is not just an internal state, it is achieved through a direct, physical dialogue with these raw, powerful forces. You are not just mastering yourself, you are petitioning the mountain for its favor, asking it to accept you. A little known fact is that many of these training sites were carefully chosen for their natural features: a waterfall for purification, a specific cave for meditation, a peak with a view that inspired awe. The geography of the mountain was, in essence, a spiritual textbook. Each feature represented a different trial or a different aspect of the path. Your journey through the landscape was a journey through the stages of your own transformation. Here, alone, is where the deepest work is done, with no chores to distract you, no other monks to observe. You are left with only yourself. The silence is absolute. It is in this silence that you have your own private conversations. You don't speak aloud. The dialogue is internal. A silent monologue addressed to the trees, to the stream, to the sky. You confess your lingering attachments, the face of a loved one that still surfaces in your mind, the flicker of pride you feel when you endure the cold water without flinching, the subtle fear of the final steps of this journey. You lay it all bare, offering it up to the vast, silent indifference of the mountain. There is no judgment here. The rock you sit on does not care about your fears. The wind does not care about your pride, and in their indifference, you find a strange kind of freedom. Your personal struggles, which once felt so monumental, now seem small and insignificant in the face of this immense, ancient landscape. The ongoing academic debate here centers on the Sikh-Buddhist, this blending of Shinto animist mountain worship with esoteric Buddhism. Orthodox Buddhists might argue that the ultimate goal is internal enlightenment, independent of external places or spirits. But for the Yamabushi, the mountain was the path. Was this a purer form of Buddhism, or one that had been diluted by older, folk traditions? There is no simple answer. It was its own unique creation, a spiritual ecosystem born of these specific peaks and valleys. You watch an ant carry a crumb of a leaf across a rock. You observe its single-minded determination, its complete absorption in its task. You feel a kinship with it. Your world, too, has been reduced to a simple, all-consuming purpose. The grand philosophical questions that once troubled you have faded away. The search for meaning has been replaced by the simple, stark reality of practice. Endure the cold, eat the bark, sit in silence, breathe. The sun begins to set, painting the clouds in shades of orange and purple. The beauty is immense, overwhelming. It fills the quiet emptiness within you, not with thoughts or feelings, but with a simple, profound sense of presence. You are here. The mountain is here. Then for now, that is enough. The first 1,000 days are drawing to a close. You have communed with the elements. You have spoken with the silence. You are almost ready. The day arrives without fanfare. There is no ceremony, no special announcement. But you know, and the other monks know, it is the 1,000th day since you renounced the 5 grains. The first great milestone on your journey has been reached. You wait, as always, in the pre-dawn chill. You chant, the familiar words now flowing from you without thought, a river of sound. You perform your chores, your movements slow and practiced. But something is different. There is a new stillness in the air, a sense of completion. You look at your body. It is a roadmap of your journey, a thing of sharp angles and hollows. Your skin is stretched thin over your bones, dry and leathery from the sun and the wind. The calluses on your hands are thick and hard. You have almost no body fat left. You are a living skeleton, animated by a quiet, steady flame of will. You have survived. In the eating hall, a small change. A slightly larger portion of nuts is in your bowl. A few more slivers of root. It's a subtle acknowledgement, a reward that is barely a reward. But after 1,000 days of systematic starvation, the extra mouthfuls are a flood of energy, a shock to your system. You eat slowly, deliberately, savoring the bitter, earthy taste. You have completed the first sen nichi kihoji yo. You are no longer a novice. You have earned a new level of respect among the community. The younger monks, the ones just starting their own paths, look at you with a mixture of awe and fear. You are a living testament to what is possible. A ghostly figure who has walked through a fire they are only just beginning to feel the heat of. You are granted more time for solitary meditation. This time is spent on menial labor, more on the internal work. You have proven your commitment, your ability to endure. Now, the focus shifts even more intensely inward. The goal is no longer just to strip down the body, but to purify the mind to a state of crystalline clarity. As you sit on your rock overlooking the valley, you take stock. The first 1,000 days were about subtraction, removing food, removing fat, removing comfort, removing your past identity. It was a violent, painful process of erasure. You look down at your hands, which are little more than bone and tendon, and you see the physical proof of that erasure. But what have you gained? You have gained a stillness you never knew existed. Your mind, once a chaotic storm of thoughts, desires, and fears, is now a calm, clear lake. Thoughts still arise, of course, but they are like ripples on the surface, no longer great waves that threaten to capsize you. You have gained a profound connection to the world around you. You feel the changing of the seasons not just on your skin, but in your very soul. You have gained a kind of freedom. Freedom from the tyranny of your own desires. The hunger is still there, a faint echo, but it no longer controls you. You are its master. A strange and little discussed aspect of reaching this stage was the social status it conferred, even outside the temple walls. On the rare occasions when local villagers would come to the temple for a blessing or a ceremony, they would look upon figures like you as living saints. Nigeria, they would ask for your blessing, believing that your immense asceticism had granted you supernatural powers. This external validation was another trap to be navigated. To accept their reverence, to believe yourself to be holy, was a subtle form of ego, a spiritual pride that couldn't do all your work. You had to learn to accept their piety with grace, while inwardly remaining empty, untouched by their praise. You watch the sun dip below the horizon, the 1,000th sunset of your new life. A deep sense of peace settles over you. It's not a joyful or celebratory feeling. It's quieter than that. It is the peace of a field that has been tilled and cleared of stones, ready for a new kind of planting. But this is not the end. It is merely the end of the beginning. The next stage of the journey looms. A second 1,000-day trial, but is in some ways even more challenging than the first. The foundation has been laid. Your body is prepared. Your mind is stilled. Now, you must begin the process of turning your flesh into a substance that can defy nature. A process that will involve deliberately poisoning yourself. The historical debate around this point is whether the 1,000-day cycles were always so clearly delineated. Was it a strict 1,000-day plus 1,000-day regimen? Or was it a more fluid process, guided by the master's assessment of the disciples' progress? Some scholars suggest the 1,000-day marker was more symbolic, representing a vast, long period of time rather than a literal calendar count. The rituals were highly personalized, and a master might keep a monk on the tree to diet for longer if he felt the monk wasn't ready, physically or mentally, for the next step. As darkness envelops the mountain, you feel a sense of resolve hardening within you. You have faced the ghosts of your past. You have mastered the screaming hunger of your body. You have endured the cold and the pain. You have been empty. No, you must become something else. You must begin the alchemical process of making your body incorruptible. The first 1,000 sunsets are behind you. 1,000 more dawns await. The second 1,000 days begin just as the first ended, without ceremony, but with a palpable shift in intent. The goal is no longer just to remove, but to transform your diet, already consisting of the barest, most unappetizing scraps the forest has to offer, is refined further. The focus narrows. You are now almost exclusively consuming pine needles, resins, and various types of tree bark. This isn't just about calories anymore, it's about chemistry. Pine bark and needles contain high concentrations of tannins. In small doses, they are astringent. In the quantities you are now consuming, they have a pickling effect on the body from the inside out. You are, in essence, slowly embalming yourself while you still live. The process is subtle, but you can feel it. Your mouth is perpetually dry. Your digestion, already slow to a crawl, becomes even more sluggish. Your body is now a laboratory. The extreme diet has already eliminated nearly all your body fat and dehydrated your tissues. This new phase is about making what little flesh remains as inhospitable to bacteria as possible. It is a slow, methodical process of rendering your own body inedible to the microorganisms that would normally consume it after death. You spend your days chewing. The fibrous bark requires immense effort to break down. In the shop, resinous taste of pine needles is a constant assault on your senses. Your jaw aches. Your teeth, deprived of proper nutrition for years, feel loose in their sockets. It's a miserable existence by any normal standard, but the concept of normal has long since vanished from your world. This is simply the work that must be done. The physical labor continues, but it is less intense now. Your severely weakened body cannot sustain the same level of exertion. The focus is on conserving energy for the immense biological project underway inside you. You move like a figure in a dream, slow and deliberate. Your world is quiet, measured. Each breath is a conscious act. Each step is a small victory against the entropy that is pulling at your body. One of the more peculiar and less documented aspects of this stage is the heightened sense of smell that many practitioners reportedly develop. Deprived of all flavorful food, their olfactory systems became incredibly sensitive. They could supposedly smell a storm coming hours before it arrived, or identify different types of trees in the dark simply by their scent. It was as if the body, in its extremity, was developing latent, animal-like senses to navigate its environment. For you, the world is a symphony of smells: the damp earth, the sharp tang of pine, the faint sweetness of decaying leaves, the clean scent of cold stone. The solitude deepens. You spend more and more time alone, in your cell or in a secluded part of the forest. The community of monks is still there, a silent, supportive backdrop, but your path is now profoundly internal. You are turning inward, observing the subtle changes in your own body with the detached curiosity of a scholar. You can feel the dryness in your tissues, the slowness of your own pulse. You are becoming a stranger to yourself, your body transforming into an object of study rather than a vessel for experience. The academic controversy surrounding this phase of the diet is intense. Modern science can verify that certain plant resins and tannins have preservative and antibacterial properties. However, was the amount a monk could realistically consume enough to have a significant mummifying effect on the entire body? Many scientists are skeptical. They argue that the primary driver of mummification was the extreme reduction of body fat and desiccation, combined with the cold, dry, and sometimes alkaline soil conditions of the burial sites. The pine needle diet, they suggest, might have been more symbolic a final, extreme act of renunciation than a scientifically effective embalming method. The truth is likely a combination of both. The diet contributed to the process, but it was one factor among many. You feel yourself fading. The world is losing its sharp edges, becoming softer, more distant. Your memories of your former life are like faded ink on old paper. You can barely recall the face of the person you once were. This is the goal. The arasura is almost complete. You are becoming a blank slate, a vessel scrubbed clean and now being prepared for its final purpose. Your mind, too, is changing. It is no longer the clear, calm lake of the first 1,000 days. The renewed assault on your body, the slow poisoning, creates a different mental state. A fog begins to settle. Your thoughts are slow, syrupy. It's a struggle to maintain focus during meditation. This isn't the dramatic storm of the early hallucinations, it's a quiet, creeping exhaustion of the soul. This is a new kind of test. The first test was against the violent rebellion of your body. This test is against a slow, creeping apathy. It would be easy to simply give up, to lie down and let the flickering flame go out. You must find a new source of strength, not from your body, but from the pure, abstract idea that has driven you this far. The idea of becoming a beacon of faith, of conquering death by embracing it. You look at the pine tree you were stripping for bark. You see its resilience, its ability to survive in the harshest conditions. You feel a deep kinship with it. You are both being scoured by the wind and the cold. You are both clinging to life on this barren mountainside. You are both preparing for a long, long winter. The second 1,000 days are a slow, grinding descent. You are walking willingly into the twilight of your own biology. The twilight of your biology deepens into a long, profound dusk. You are a ghost moving through the world, a faint echo of a man. It is during this period, as the second 1,000 days near their conclusion, that the final, most extreme step of your physical preparation is introduced. One evening, the old monk who first welcomed you to the temple approaches. He moves with the same quiet grace, but tonight he carries something different. Not the usual bowl of bark or roots. He holds a small, dark lacquerware bowl, exquisitely made, its surface gleaming in the low light. Inside is a small amount of liquid. It's not a clear tea, it's milky, pale, and opaque. It has a strange, chill, chemical smell, like nothing that grows naturally in the forest. He places it before you. His eyes hold no command, only a deep, bottomless understanding. This is the final key. This is tea made from the sap of the Yu-Roshai tree, the Japanese lacquer tree, the very same substance used by craftsmen to create the beautiful, durable finish on the bowl you are now holding. You are about to drink it. The purpose of this tea is horribly logical. First, it is a potent toxin. It is designed to kill any remaining bacteria and parasites within your digestive tract, turning your gut into a sterile environment. Second, and more macabrely, the toxic sap is meant to coat the inside of your body, your organs, with a thin, preservative layer. It's a way of lacquering yourself from the inside out, making your flesh even more resistant to decay after you have passed. You are not just mummifying yourself, you are turning your own body into a holy relic, a piece of living lacquerware. This is where the practice moves from extreme asceticism into something that feels like a deliberate, calculated act of self-destruction. This is the point of no return. You lift the small bowl. Your hands, skeletal and trembling slightly, are steady now with resolve. You bring it to your lips. The smell is acrid and biting. You close your eyes and drink it down in one go. The effect is not slow. It is immediate and violent. A fire erupts in your stomach, a cramping, searing pain that doubles you over. Your body, already weakened beyond measure, rebels with all the force it has left. You are overcome with waves of nausea, and your system purges itself violently, expelling the last of its contents, the last of its fluids. It's a brutal, agonizing process that can last for hours. Here's a piece of modern science that casts a fascinating light on this ancient practice. The active, toxic compound in Yu-Roshai sap is Yu-Roshai oil. It's the very same chemical that makes poison ivy and poison oak so famously irritating. Most people know the misery of an external rash from these plants. You are experiencing a full-body, internal version of that reaction. It's a strange sort of healthcare, isn't it, annihilating your inner ecosystem to preserve the house it lives in? This final, violent purge is the ultimate act of desiccation. It wrings every last drop of moisture from your tissues, leaving your body a dry, empty house. It is this extreme dryness, more than anything else, that will prevent decay. But did every monk do this? Herein lies a significant academic debate. When modern scientists have been allowed to examine the few existing Sokushinbutsu, not all of them show traces of Urushai lacquer in their systems. This has led to a few theories. Perhaps the Urushai tea was a later innovation, a technique developed over centuries as monks refined the process and found ways to increase the chances of success. Or maybe it was a regional practice, specific to the monks of the Duosanzan Mountains, who were the most famous and successful practitioners. It's possible that many of the earlier monks attempted to achieve this state without this final, toxic step, relying solely on starvation and the natural conditions of their burial. The path was not one size fits all, it was a desperate science of faith, with each monk a new, willing test subject. You survive the ordeal. You are left hollowed out, empty in a way you couldn't have imagined before. The fog of apathy has been burned away by the sheer, white-hot agony of the poison. You are now in a state of strange, excruciating clarity. There is no more fat. There is no more water. There is no more life. In the conventional sense, within your gut, your body is now a sterile, toxic, and perfectly prepared vessel. The pain subsides, leaving behind a profound weakness. You can barely stand. Your every breath is a conscious effort. You have completed the final stage of the physical transformation. You are no longer just a monk. You are a living relic, a walking mummy, waiting for the tomb. The world outside no longer matters. The only thing left is the final, short walk to the dark, quiet place that has been prepared for you. The final days of the second 1,000-day cycle pass in a blur. You are no longer an active participant in the life of the temple. You do not chop wood. You do not carry water. You barely have the strength to walk from your cell to the meditation hall. The other monks now tend to you, their movements full of a quiet, profound reverence. They see you not as a man who is dying, but as a Buddha who is entering his final, earthly phase. Your appearance is startling. You have become a specter. Your skin is like dry parchment, sallow and stretched so tightly over your bones that your skull is clearly visible beneath. Your eyes are huge, sunken deep into their sockets, and they burn with a strange, dark fire. Your weight has dropped to a level that shouldn't be able to sustain life. You are a living skeleton, draped in the loose folds of your robe. When you walk a slow, shuffling gait, perhaps leaning on a staff, the world seems to part for you. The younger monks avert their eyes, not out of fear, but out of respect. They bow as you pass. You have become a holy object, a source of immense spiritual power in their eyes. The local villagers, hearing that a monk at the mountain temple is nearing completion of the great trial, sometimes make a pilgrimage just to catch a glimpse of you. They stand at a respectful distance, their hands pressed together in prayer, their faces a mixture of awe and pity. They see your emaciated form not as a sign of sickness, but as a symbol of ultimate devotion. They whisper that you have conquered the desires of the flesh, that you are no longer human, but something more. Their faith in you is a palpable thing, a heavy cloak that settles on your frail shoulders. This phenomenon, the veneration of the living ascetic, is a key part of the process. Your transformation is not just a private spiritual journey, it is a public testament to the power of the faith. Your suffering has a purpose beyond your own enlightenment. It is meant to inspire awe and devotion in the common people, to strengthen their belief in the Buddhist path. You are a living sermon. A curious and rarely mentioned detail from this period concerns the last meal. In some traditions, just before entering the tomb, the monk would be offered a tiny celebratory meal. It might consist of a single, perfect piece of fruit, like a persimmon, or a few special nuts. It was not for nourishment. Of course, it was a symbolic act, a final taste of the world of form and flavor before renouncing it forever. It was a gesture of farewell from the community, a small, sweet moment of grace before the final darkness. Whether you partake in such a ritual or not, the sentiment is the same. The world of the living is bidding you adieu. You feel a profound detachment from your own body. It is no longer you. It is a tool that has been painstakingly prepared for a specific task. You observe its slow, steady decline with a kind of clinical interest. The way your heart beats, a slow, faint rhythm like a distant drum. The way your lungs draw in the cold mountain air, a shallow, labored effort. It is as if you are already standing outside of it, watching this strange, skeletal puppet go through its final motions. The academic debate here focuses on the medical reality of this state. How was it physiologically possible for these men to survive for so long in this condition? Modern doctors would diagnose this as the final stage of terminal starvation, organ failure, and systemic poisoning. The body would be shutting down. Yet, according to the legends, these monks remained lucid, conscious, and in a state of deep spiritual calm. Was this purely the power of the mind over matter, or did the slow, controlled nature of the starvation, combined with the extreme mental discipline of meditation, create a unique physiological state that modern science doesn't fully understand? It's possible that the intense meditative practices slowed the metabolism to an almost hibernatory level, allowing the body to cling to life with an efficiency that seems impossible to us. The world is becoming very quiet. The sounds of the temple, the chanting, the bells, the wind, all seem to be coming from a great distance. You are retreating inward, into the vast, silent space you have cultivated within yourself over these past 2,000 days. The final preparations are being made, not by you, but for you. You are simply waiting. Your mind is calm. The fear is gone. The desire is gone. The pain is a distant echo. There is only a profound sense of purpose, a single, clear note that resonates in the emptiness. You have done the work. You have scoured the vessel clean. You have pickled and lacquered against the ravages of time. You have become a walking, breathing mummy. The only thing left to do is to take your seat. The world is a tapestry of muted colors and distant sounds. Your body, once a source of constant, screaming demands, is now profoundly silent. The gnawing hunger, the aching muscles, the searing pain of the rush all have faded into a vast, quiet stillness. You have reached a state that has no name in the language of ordinary men. It is not life as you once knew it, but it is not yet death. It is a liminal space, a pause between two worlds. You feel the alchemical transformation in your very cells. It's a strange and subtle sensation, a dryness, a brittleness. When you touch your own skin, it feels less like flesh and more like old paper or dry leather. There is no resilience to it. No. It is simply a covering for the bones beneath. You have systematically and with great intention stripped your body of the very qualities that define it as living: its softness, its warmth, its moisture. This is the alchemy of faith. You have taken the base material of your human body, a thing of blood, sweat, and desire, destined for rot and decay, and through the crucible of extreme asceticism, you have attempted to transmute it into something eternal, a vessel of Dharma, incorruptible and pure. The great work, as the Western alchemists would call it, was about turning lead into gold. Your great work has been to turn flesh into a relic. You can feel the results of your toxic diet. The rush has done its work. It has created a hostile environment within you, a landscape where the microorganisms of decay cannot gain a foothold. The pine bark and resins you consumed for so long have infused your tissues with their preservative qualities. You are, in a very real sense, pickled from the inside out. Your body is no longer a welcoming home for the natural processes of decomposition. It has been made sterile, inhospitable. One of the fascinating and often overlooked scientific aspects of this process is the role of saponification, particularly the formation of adipose ray, or grave wax. In certain conditions, body fats can be converted into a hard, waxy, soap-like substance that is remarkably resistant to decomposition. While your goal was to eliminate fat, it's possible that the small, residual amounts of lipids in your body, combined with the unique chemical environment you created through your diet and the specific conditions of your tomb, could have undergone this process. It's a strange thought. Your spiritual quest for purity, might have been aided by a chemical reaction that turned parts of you into a kind of natural soap. You observe these changes with a profound sense of detachment. The body is an object. It is a project that is nearing completion. The you that observes is separate from it, a silent witness to its slow, deliberate shutdown. This separation of consciousness from the physical self is the ultimate goal of your long meditative practice. You have achieved it not through intellectual understanding, but through the brutal, undeniable reality of your physical transformation. You don't think you are separate from your body, you know it, because your body has become so alien, so other. The academic world still grapples with the terminology here. Is it accurate to call this self-mummification? Mummification is, by definition, a process that happens to a corpse. But you are not yet a corpse. You are actively participating in the preservation of a body that is still, by the barest of measures, alive. It's a paradox. Perhaps a better term would be pre-mortem preservation or biological transmutation. The language of science struggles to categorize a process that so thoroughly blurs the line between life and death, between spiritual practice and physiological reality. You feel the alchemical change in your mind as well. Your thoughts are no longer your own. They are slow, sparse, and seem to arise from a great distance. They are like leaves floating on the surface of a deep, still well. You don't identify with them. You simply watch them come and go. The emptiness you cultivated for so long is no longer something you strive for, it is your natural state. You are a crucible. Your body has been the vessel, your will has been the fire, and your faith has been the formula. The long, slow burn of the past 2,000 days has reduced you to your essence. The lead of your ordinary human existence has been burned away, leaving behind what you hope it is gold. You hope it is the incorruptible substance of a Buddha, but you will not know for sure until the final seal is placed on your tomb. All you know is that the experiment is complete. The physical and chemical work is done. All that remains is the final, spiritual step to take your seat in the darkness and wait, in the profound quiet of your transformed state. As your body slowly shuts down and the outside world fades to a distant murmur, there is one last battlefield, the landscape of your own mind. The physical trials are over, the hunger is a ghost, the pain is a memory. But now, with nothing left to distract you, you must face your final and most formidable opponents, the demons of your own heart. They are not the monstrous, fanged creatures of folklore. They are far more insidious than that. They are the subtle, whispering voices of your deepest attachments and fears, now given free rein in the silent, empty theater of your consciousness. The first demon is pride. It comes to you not as a boast, but as a feeling of serene accomplishment. It whispers, "You have done it. You have endured what few men could even imagine. You have achieved a state of purity. You will be revered. You will be a Buddha." It's a warm, comforting thought, a subtle poison that validates your ego at the very moment you are supposed to be annihilating it. You must see this thought for what it is, the ultimate trap. You must acknowledge it and let it go. You are not a hero. You are an empty vessel. The work is not yours, but the Dharma's. The second demon is doubt. It is the cold, sick counterpart to pride. It slithers into your mind in the deep of the night. Was it all for nothing? You have starved and suffered and poisoned yourself. For what to die in a stone box? Your body will rot like any other. You will be a feast for worms. A forgotten fool who threw his life away for a childish story. This voice is chilling because it uses logic. The cold reasoning of the material world you left behind. It preys on the tiny, lingering fear of failure that resides in every human heart. To fight it, you cannot use logic. You can only meet it with the silence of your faith. The simple, unadorned fact of your commitment. The third demon is attachment, and it is the most painful of all. It doesn't come as a whisper, but as a vivid, heart-wrenching memory. The face of your mother, not as a fleeting vision in a tree, but as a perfect, detailed image, her eyes full of love. The memory of a friend's laughter on a summer evening. The simple, profound feeling of holding another person's hand. These are not grand desires for wealth or fame, they are the small, pure, beautiful things that make a human life worth living. The demon of attachment holds these up to you and says, "This is what you have thrown away. This was real. This was love. You have exchanged it for a cold, lonely eternity. It is a test of shattering intensity. You must look upon these beautiful memories, feel the love and the grief they inspire, and then release them, like letting go of a beautiful bird. You must love them enough to let them go." This internal battle with one's inner demons or Mara is a central theme in Buddhist psychology. Mara is not a devil in the Western sense, but a personification of the passions, temptations, and psychological obstacles that prevent enlightenment. The most famous story is of the Buddha himself sitting under the Bodhi tree, assailed by Mara's armies of fear and his seductive daughters of desire. Your final days are your own personal battle under the Bodhi tree. A lesser known, more esoteric interpretation of this struggle involves the idea that as the body weakens, the veil between the conscious and subconscious mind thins, allowing repressed emotions, traumas, and deep-seated archetypes to surface with incredible force. The visions and voices aren't just random hallucinations, they are a direct encounter with the deepest, most hidden parts of your own psyche. Your final meditation is a form of intensive, self-directed psychotherapy, an ultimate confrontation with your own shadow. The ongoing debate among religious scholars and psychologists is, again, one of interpretation. Are these demons objective, external spiritual entities, as some traditional interpretations would hold, or are they purely psychological phenomena? Projections of the practitioner's own mind, or does the truth lie in a more nuanced space, where intense spiritual practice can create a state in which the mind's internal projections take on a seemingly objective reality for you, sitting in your cell? The distinction is academic. The battle is real. The terror is real. The sorrow is real. You don't fight these demons with anger or force. That would only give them more power. You fight them with emptiness. Use it. You breathe. You watch them arise. You watch pride swell in your chest, and you let it dissolve without grasping it. You feel the cold grip of doubt, and you let it pass through you without resisting it. You feel the searing pain of attachment, and you allow it to be what it is, without being consumed by it. You are the mountain. These thoughts and feelings are just clouds passing before you. They may bring storms or shadows, but they cannot move you. They cannot change your fundamental nature. Slowly, day by day, the demons lose their power. Their visits become less frequent. Their voices become fainter. They are running out of fuel. There is nothing left in you for them to cling to. The pride, the fear, the love, you have offered it all up. The inner landscape becomes quiet again. Not the tense quiet of a battlefield after the fight, but the deep, resonant silence of a truly empty space. The final enemy has been met, and he was you. The second 1,000th day dawns, and it feels like the last true dawn you will ever see. The light that filters into your cell seems different today, softer, as if it's already passing through the veil of another world. You have survived. You have passed through the fire of the body and the shadows of the mind. You are ready. Your body is an artifact. It operates on the very edge of biological possibility. Your heart beats with a slow, faint, fluttery rhythm. Your breathing is shallow, almost imperceptible. You have no sensation of hunger or thirst. You feel no pain. There is only a profound, pervasive stillness, a state of being that is as close to inorganic matter as a living creature can get. You are a statue of dust and will, waiting for your pedestal. The final preparations are complete. You have done everything a human being can do to prepare for this moment. The diet has stripped you bare. The Urush IT has sterilized you. The meditation has stilled your mind. You have faced your demons and found the great emptiness that lies beyond them. You have arrived at the destination. The old monk comes to you one last time. He doesn't speak. Words are unnecessary now. He looks at you, alone, deep gaze that holds a universe of meaning, respect. Compassion. Farewell. He helps you to your feet. Your legs are stiff and weak, and you lean on him as he guides you out of your cell and into the main courtyard of the temple. The other monks are gathered. They are all here, from the youngest novices to the oldest masters. They stand in silence, their faces solemn, their hands pressed together. They form two lines, creating a path for you. As you walk between them, a slow, shuffling procession, they bow their heads. It is not a gesture of worship to a man, but of reverence for the journey itself, for the immense, almost unimaginable act of faith that you represent. This is your final walk in the light. You feel the cool air on your face. You see the deep blue of the sky above the temple roof. You hear the distant cry of a hawk circling high above the mountain. Every sensation is exquisitely precious, not because you are clinging to it, but because you are so completely present for it. It is the world's farewell kiss, one of the more poignant, humanizing details that has been passed down in stories about these final moments is the role of the monk's closest disciple or friend. This person would often be the one to walk with the master, to provide physical support, and to be the last one to speak with him before the tomb was sealed. It was an act of ultimate service and a heartbreaking farewell, a final thread of human connection before the monk severed himself from the world entirely. Whether it is the old monk or a younger one you have grown close to in silence, someone is there, a steadying presence at your side. You look upon the faces of your fellow monks as you pass. You see your own journey reflected in their eyes. In the novices, you see the fear and determination you felt 2,000 days ago. In the seasoned monks, you see the quiet strength and understanding born of long practice. You are all on the same path, just at different points along the road. Your journey is their journey. The scholarly debate surrounding this moment is one of legacy. What was the ultimate purpose? Was it truly about waiting for the future Buddha? A selfless act for the benefit of all humanity in a distant time, or was it, on a more practical level, about creating a powerful holy relic for the temple? Sokushinbutsu was a major source of prestige and pilgrimage, bringing in donations and followers, ensuring the temple's survival and prosperity for generations. It's a cynical view, perhaps, but likely a part of the complex reality. The motivation was probably a mixture of the sublime and the pragmatic, a genuine spiritual quest that all served a very real institutional purpose. You feel no pride, no sense of accomplishment. You feel only a profound gratitude. Gratitude for the path. Gratitude for the mountain that has been your teacher. Gratitude for the community that has supported you. Gratitude for the body that has endured so much. The second thousandth dawn is fading into day. The final preparations are complete. The vessel is ready. The mind is clear. The time has come. You are walking towards your own grave, not with fear, but with a quiet, unshakable sense of purpose. You are going home. Your slow procession leaves the main temple complex and follows a narrow, well-worn path deeper into the forest, towards a part of the mountain that is especially sacred. The air grows cooler here, under the dense canopy of ancient cedars. The ground is soft with centuries of fallen needles. It is a place of deep quiet, a place set apart. And then you see it, your final home. It is not a grand mausoleum or an ornate shrine. It is a simple, stark structure of stone. It has been dug into the earth, about 10 feet deep, and lined with heavy, rough-hewn stones to form a small, subterranean chamber. It's barely larger than you are. It's a custom-built tomb, designed for a single purpose: to hold a man sitting in the lotus position. There is no decoration, no inscription. It is a place of pure function. The raw, grey stone seems to absorb the light, giving it a somber. This is a womb of earth, a place to be reborn not into life, but into incorruptibility. Beside the pit is a heavy stone lid, also rough-hewn, with a small, circular hole drilled through its center. The sight of it does not fill you with dread. After years of preparing for this, it feels strangely familiar, almost comforting. It is the final piece of the puzzle. The period at the end of a very, very long sentence. The monks who built it, your brothers, stand nearby. Their faces unreadable. They constructed this chamber with their own hands. Every stone placed with intention and prayer. For them, this was not grave digging, it was the creation of a holy sanctuary. The act of building your tomb was a part of their own spiritual practice. You stand at the edge of the pit and look down into the darkness. It is a perfect, waiting emptiness. The design of these tombs varied, but they shared common features. One fascinating and practical detail is that the floor of the pit was often lined with a thick bed of charcoal. This served a critical purpose. Charcoal is a powerful desiccant, and it would help to wick away any final moisture from your body and from the surrounding earth, further inhibiting bacterial growth and aiding in the preservation process. It was another piece of this strange, sacred science, using natural materials to defy the natural course of decay. You also notice a bamboo tube, long and thin, resting beside the pit. This will be your final, fragile link to the world of the living. It will be inserted through the hole in the stone lid, one end near your face, the other end above the ground. It is an air pipe, a lifeline, and a signaling device. The historical evidence for these burial practices is a mix of archaeological findings and temple records. CT scans of some of the mummies have confirmed the seated lotus position and the extreme tightness of the chambers. However, the specifics of the construction, the type of stone used, the depth, the use of charcoal varied from case to case. This leads to the ongoing question how much of the success was due to the monk's physical preparation, and how much was due to the specific microenvironment of his tomb. Some scientists argue that a monk buried in a cold, dry, charcoal-lined pit in the mountains of northern Japan had a much better chance of natural mummification than one buried in a warmer, more humid climate. Regardless of his diet, the faith prepared the body, but perhaps the geology of the mountain had the final say. You look at this stone box, this custom-made grave. It is the ultimate symbol of your journey. You have spent years turning your body into a hard, dry, empty vessel. Now, you will place that vessel into a hard, dry, empty container. The external world will finally match your internal state. There is a sense of profound rightness to it. A farmer belongs to his field. A fisherman belongs to the sea. You belong to this small, dark space. It is the culmination of your life's work, the final expression of your faith. You have renounced the wide, open world of infinite possibilities for this single, focused point of absolute stillness. The sun is high in the sky now, but its rays barely penetrate the thick canopy above. Down here, in this quiet clearing, it feels like twilight. Time is slowing down, stretching out. The moment is drawing near. The monks wait patiently. The stone tomb waits patiently. And you are more patient than any of them. You have been waiting for this your entire life. The moment has come. There are no more steps to take, no more preparations to be made. The only thing left is the final act of separation. The old monk and your closest disciple come forward. Their movements are slow, reverent. They gently help you remove your outer robe, leaving you in a single, thin undergarment. The cool air on your desiccated skin is a strange, final sensation. You are being stripped bare, literally and metaphorically, for your entrance into the sacred space. They guide you to the edge of the pit. You turn and, with their help, you slowly, carefully lower yourself down. Your legs are stiff. Your joints ache with a distant, phantom pain. You settle onto the bed of charcoal at the bottom of the chamber. The space is tight. The stone walls pressing in on all sides. It is not claustrophobic, it feels like a final, secure embrace. You arrange your legs into the full lotus position, the posture you have held for countless hours of meditation. Your hands rest in your lap, palms up, in the mudra of contemplation. You straighten your back, aligning your spine one last time. This is the posture in which you will meet eternity. You look up. The faces of your fellow monks peer down at you from the bright square of daylight above. They are the last human faces you will ever see. Their expressions are a mixture of sorrow and profound respect. They are losing a brother, but they are witnessing the birth of a Buddha. There is a deep, silent communion in that shared gaze, a final exchange of understanding that transcends all words. In your hand, they place one final object, a small brass or bronze bell. Pearled in. It is simple, with a clear, high-pitched tone. The string attached to it is long enough for you to hold comfortably. This bell will be your voice. You look from face to face. A slow, final acknowledgement of the community that has been your life. You give a slight, almost imperceptible nod. It is your signal. It is your farewell. With immense, coordinated effort, a group of monks EFTs the heavy stone lid. They move it into place over the opening of the pit. For a moment, it eclipses the sun, and the world is plunged into shadow. Then, with a deep, grinding thud, the stone settles into place. The light is gone. The faces are gone. You are in the dark. But not complete darkness. A single, thin shaft of light pierces the gloom. Coming from the hole in the lid where the bamboo tube has been placed, it's a tiny sliver of the world above, a reminder that you are not yet completely cut off. This moment of final farewell is one of the most powerful and human aspects of the entire ritual. It is a scene that has been recounted in temple legends and imagined by historians for centuries. One particularly poignant, though perhaps apocryphal, detail sometimes mentioned is the monk speaking a final verse, a short poem, before the lid is sealed. It might be a simple line about the moon, or the cry of a deer, a final, distilled drop of earthly beauty offered up before entering the void. The academic debate here focuses on the state of mind of the monk. Was this a peaceful, transcendent acceptance of one's fate, or was it the terrified final moments of a man being buried alive? It's an unanswerable question, colored by our own modern sensibilities about death and suffering. The tradition insists it was a state of supreme calm, the ultimate meditative achievement. A modern skeptic might see it as the tragic end of a long, drawn-out suicide. The truth of your experience lies somewhere in that chasm of interpretation. You are not terrified. You are not ecstatic. You are simply present. The sound of shuffling feet above you, the muffled scrape of shovels against earth. They are burying you now, covering the stone lid with soil, returning you to the mountain. The last sliver of light from the bamboo tube is all that remains of the world. You are alone, in the cool, silent, waiting dark. This is not your tomb. This is your meditation hall. The final, most important session is about to begin. The sound of the shovels fades. The last footstep recedes. And then, silence. A silence unlike any you have ever known. It is not the mere absence of noise. It is a presence. A thick, heavy, absolute silence that presses in on you from all sides. The world you have known for your entire life, the world of wind and birdsong, of chanting on temple bells, has been switched off. You are in the dark. A profound, velvet, subterranean dark. The single bamboo tube does not bring light, only the faintest suggestion that a world of light still exists somewhere far above. Your eyes, wide open, see nothing. There is no up, no down, no forward, no back. There is only the center. Where you sit, the air is cool, still, and smells of damp earth, stone, and the faint, sharp scent of the charcoal beneath you. Every breath you take is a loud, rasping event in the crushing silence. You can hear the slow, faint, papery beat of your own heart. You can hear the blood moving in your ears. Your body, in its final stillness, has become an entire soundscape. You are sealed in, buried. The reality of your situation settles over you, not as a wave of panic, but as a simple, undeniable fact. You have willingly entered your own grave. You are a living man in a stone box under the earth. This is the ultimate test of your meditative discipline. For years, You have practiced finding stillness amidst the temple's activity. Now, you must find it in absolute sensory deprivation. There are no distractions, no chores, no rituals, no other people. There is only you and the vast, dark emptiness. For the first time, you reach for the small bell in your lap. You give it a gentle shake. The sound, a single, clear, high-pitched tune, is shocking. It rips through the silence, impossibly loud, seeming to come from inside your own skull. It echoes off the stone walls, a bright, sharp sliver of sound in the immense dark. This is your signal. This is your proof of life. The tradition of the bell is one of the most haunting and practical elements of the entire process. The monk on the surface, your designated attendant, would come to the burial mound each day and listen. He would put his ear to the top of the bamboo tube and wait for the sound. As long as he heard the bell, he knew that his master was still alive, still in his final meditation. A little known and rather grim detail is what was supposed to happen if the bell was rung erratically, or if sounds of struggle were heard. This would indicate that the monk had lost his meditative calm and was panicking. In such a case, the protocol was clear: do nothing. The tomb was not to be opened. The trial, once begun, could not be aborted. A loss of composure was simply another form of failure. The monk would be left to his fate. The academic debate here revolves around the psychological effects of prolonged sensory deprivation. Modern experiments have shown that it can lead to intense hallucinations, paranoia, and a complete breakdown of the sense of self. Are you truly in a state of deep samadhi, or are you on the brink of a profound psychological crisis? Adrift in an ocean of blackness, the monks believed this was the final purification, a state where the mind, deprived of all external input, could finally perceive its own true, empty nature. Modern psychology might see it as the ultimate stress test, a journey into the heart of what it means to be a conscious being when all the familiar landmarks of reality are removed. Days and nights lose all meaning. Time becomes a fluid, meaningless concept. Is it morning, is it evening, has an hour passed? Or a week, there's only the long, unbroken river of darkness. Your only anchor is the rhythm of your own breath and the daily ritual of the bell. Once a day, you ring it, a single, clear note to the world above. I am still here. I am still practicing. It is an act of profound discipline and communication. A tiny thread connecting your deep, silent world to the world of the living. You sit in the darkness. You are not waiting for anything. You are not hoping for anything. You are not fearing anything. You are simply being. The darkness is not an enemy. It is your final teacher. It is stripping away the last vestiges of the self, the part of you that relies on sight and sound and the passage of time to know that it exists. Here, in the silent, timeless dark, you are learning to be nothing at all. And in that nothingness, you are becoming everything. The river of darkness flows on, timeless and unchanging. Your consciousness is a single, steady flame in the immense, silent void. The concepts of day and night have dissolved completely. There is only the long, continuous now of the tomb. Your world has been reduced to three things: the feeling of the cold stone around you, the sound of your own slow breathing, and the small, cool weight of the bell in your hand. The daily ringing of the bell is the one fixed point in your fluid existence. It is the single act of intention you perform. Sometime in the long stretch of darkness, you decide, no. You lift your hand, a movement that feels monumental in its effort, and you produce that single, clear tone, ting. The sound travels up the bamboo tube, a message in a bottle cast into the ocean of the world above. For the monk listening at the other end, it is a sign of immense significance. It means the master is still in NYUJO, the deep meditative state. It is a cause for quiet reverence. The practice is continuing. The miracle is unfolding. Your breathing is the rhythm of your new reality. It is incredibly slow and shallow. Your body, in its final, extreme state of conservation, requires a bare minimum of oxygen. Each breath is a conscious, deliberate process. In, out. It is a slow, steady metronome marking a time that no longer has hours or minutes. You can feel your heart beating. A faint, slow flutter, like the wings of a captive bird. It's a miracle of biology, a system running on fumes, sustained by a will that has transcended the body's own desire to quit. This is the very essence of the practice now. There is no complex philosophy to contemplate. There are no sutras to recite. There is only the raw, direct experience of being. You are watching the slow, graceful shutdown of your own physical form from a place of serene detachment. One of the more obscure physiological theories debated by modern researchers is the possibility of inducing a state akin to hibernation. Some animals can dramatically lower their metabolism, heart rate, and body temperature to survive periods of scarcity. Is it possible that these monks, through a combination of starvation, dehydration, and intense meditative focus, were able to consciously induce a similar state in themselves? The extreme cold of the tomb would have aided this process, while human hibernation is not a scientifically recognized phenomenon. The conditions these monks created were so extreme that they might have pushed the human body into a state of suspended animation that we are only just beginning to contemplate. Your mind is exceptionally clear, but empty. It's not the fog of near starvation you experienced before. It's a crystalline emptiness. Thoughts arise, but they are like tiny specks of dust seen in a sunbeam, insubstantial, and they float away without leaving a trace. There are no more demons of pride or doubt. There is nothing left for them to feed on. You have become too simple, too empty for them. The connection to the world above via the bellend tube is a fascinating point of historical contention. While the stories always include this detail, some skeptics question its practicality. Would the sound of a small handbell truly be audible through a narrow bamboo tube packed with earth? Was it more symbolic than functional, perhaps? But for you, it is your entire world. It is the ritual that structures the timeless void. It is your final conversation. The practice is no longer about endurance. You have already endured everything. It is now about release. With each slow breath, you are letting go of one more thread connecting you to the world of form. You are letting go of your body, of your breath, of your own consciousness. You are dissolving into the darkness, becoming one with the silence. The bell represents your lingering connection to the world of cause and effect, the world of sound and action. The breath is your connection to the world of biology, of life and death. One day, the breath will cease, and on that day, your hand will not lift to ring the bell. The conversation will end. The silence in the tomb will become complete, joining the silence of your stilled heart, and the silence on the surface, for the monk listening at the tube, will be the signal that your journey is complete. The Buddha has fully arrived. The flame of your consciousness, which has burned so steadily for so long, begins to flicker. The profound, crystalline emptiness of your mind starts to soften at the edges. You are not falling into a panic or being assailed by visions. Instead, you are sinking into a state of awareness deeper and more vast than any you have known before. This is the final samadhi, the ultimate state of meditative concentration. It is the destination toward which your entire, multi-thousand-day journey has been aimed. Your awareness of your physical body fades completely. The feeling of the cold stone, the lotus position of your legs, the weight of the bell in your hand, it all dissolves. Your sense of being a separate entity, a you sitting in a box, evaporates. There is only consciousness, vast, boundless, and serene. This slow, rhythmic whisper of your own breath becomes more and more distant, like a sound receding down a long tunnel. You are aware of it, but it is no longer your breath. It is simply a cosmic rhythm, the gentle ebb and flow of the universe. The faint, slow beat of your heart merges with this rhythm, becoming indistinguishable from it. You are entering Enwayudo, the same profound trance that the great master Kobodoshi is said to have entered over a millennium ago. This is not death. In the philosophy of your faith, death is an ending, a messy, uncontrolled cessation. This is a transition, It is a willed, controlled, and graceful withdrawal of consciousness from the physical plane, while the prepared vessel of the body remains intact. Your final thoughts are not thoughts at all. They are more like ripples of understanding spreading through the boundless ocean of your awareness. You understand that your small, individual life was a dream. Your suffering, your striving, your long years of discipline, all of it was part of this dream. And now, you are waking up. A lesser-known theological concept within some esoteric Buddhist sects is the idea of the subtle body or the diamond body. This is a non-physical energetic body that is cultivated through practices like the one you have just completed. The belief is that at the moment of Nyujo, the consciousness is transferred from the gross, physical body to this subtle, indestructible body. It is in this diamond body that you will wait, suspended in deep samadhi, for the coming of the future Buddha. Miracle. You are not just preserving your flesh, you are activating a more permanent, spiritual vehicle. The great academic debate here is, of course, about the moment of death. From a purely biological perspective, what you are experiencing is the final shutdown of your vital systems due to extreme starvation, dehydration, and self-poisoning. Your brain, deprived of its last stores of oxygen and glucose, is ceasing to function. The boundless awareness you feel could be interpreted by a neurologist as the final, euphoric cascade of neuric miracles released by a dying brain. Is this a mystical attainment, or is it a beautiful, profound, and ultimately illusory byproduct of clinical death? The tradition holds that the line is not so clear. The masters would say that the consciousness, refined and strengthened through years of meditation, is able to remain stable and coherent even as the physical brain shuts down. It is able to witness its own death and pass through it into a different state of being. Your hand, resting in your lap, remains still. The desire and the will to lift it, to ring the bell, has dissolved. The daily signal to the world above is no longer necessary. The conversation is over. Your last act in the world of cause and effect has been performed. Your last breath gently leaves your body. A silent, final sigh, and you do not take another. The flame flickers one last time, and then it does not go out, but merges with the great, unseen light. The individual you is gone. The long, arduous journey of becoming a Buddha is complete. On the surface, the monk waits. He puts his ear to the bamboo tube. He listens, and he hears nothing. Only the faint whisper of the wind blowing over the burial mound. He listens again the next day, and the day after that. The bell is silent. The message is clear. The master has entered his final, perfect stillness. The transformation is complete. The silence from your tomb is now the new message. It is a communication as clear and profound as the bell's daily ring once was. It signifies the end of the journey and the beginning of the vigil. The attendant monk, your faithful connection to the world, notes the first day of silence. He does not weep. He does not celebrate. He performs a simple, solemn bow to the burial mound, his forehead touching the earth above your silent form. His role now shifts from that of a listener to that of a guardian. The bamboo too, your airway and communication line, is now carefully removed. The small hole in the stone lid of your tomb is sealed shut with plaster or clay. Now, you are truly, completely cut off from the world. You are in a perfectly sealed environment, a microcosm of stillness, left alone with time. The next phase begins. It is a period of waiting, another test of faith and patience. This time for the community you have left behind. They will not open your tomb immediately to see if the miracle has occurred. That would be rash, impatient. The final stage of your transformation, the settling of your physical from into a state of permanent, incorruptibility, is believed to take time. The monks will wait for 1,000 days. This period of waiting is as much a part of the ritual as your own ascetic practices were. It is a demonstration of the community's faith in you and in the process. It is a long, slow period of reverence and anticipation. For the next 3 years, Your tomb will be a sacred site. The guardian monk will tend to it daily. He will sweep the fallen leaves from the mound. He will light incense and leave small offerings of flowers. He will chant sutras, his voice a low hum in the quiet forest clearing, sending vibrations of devotion down into the earth to where you sit in your eternal lotus posture. This 1,000-day waiting period is a fascinating aspect of the tradition, and it serves several purposes, both spiritual and practical. Spiritually, it honors the immense scale of your endeavor. You endured 2,000 days of practice. The community will honor you with 1,000 days of patience. It mirrors the vast, cosmic scale of waiting for Miroku, the future Buddha. From a more practical, and somewhat grim, scientific perspective, this waiting period was also critical for ensuring a successful outcome. If a body is going to decay, it will typically show significant signs within the first few months or a year, especially if not properly embalmed. By waiting a full 1,000 days, nearly 3 years, the monks were giving nature ample time to take its course. If, after this long period, the body was found to be preserved, it would be a much more convincing and powerful miracle. It was a way of stacking the deck in favor of faith, by setting the bar for failure decomposition so high that only the most successfully preserved bodies would pass the test. Herein lies a debate among historians and archaeologists. Were there instances where the tomb was opened after 1,000 days, only to reveal a disappointing, decomposed result? Almost certainly, but these failures would not have been recorded. They would have been seen as the natural outcome for a monk whose practice or faith was not strong enough. The tomb would be quietly sealed again, the monk's name perhaps forgotten, his story a cautionary tale whispered among the novices. We only know of the successes, the handful of monks who became official Sokushinbutsu. The silent, forgotten failures are a poignant, invisible counterpoint to the celebrated miracles. During this long wait, your legend begins to grow. The story of your incredible ordeal, your unwavering devotion, is told and retold among the monks in the local villages. You are no longer a man, you are a story, a symbol. The burial mound becomes a place of pilgrimage. People come to pray for blessings, for healing, for strength. They press their hands against the cool earth of the mound, believing that your spiritual power radiates from the spot, a beacon of pure faith. The 1,000 days pass as the seasons turn. 3 winters will blanket your tomb in snow. 3 springs will bring new life to the forest around you. 3 summers will warm the earth above you. Through it all, you sit, unchanging, in the cool, silent dark. The world turns, lives are lived, but in your small stone chamber, time stands still. The community waits, the mountain waits. They are waiting to see if your immense sacrifice has borne its ultimate fruit. The countdown to your revelation has begun. The 1,000th day of silence arrives. The atmosphere at the temple is electric, a mixture of solemn reverence and barely suppressed excitement. This is the day of revelation. For 3 years, your tomb has been a sealed sanctuary, an object of faith and prayer. Today, the seal will be broken. Today, the result of your immense, lifelong spiritual experiment will be known. A procession of monks, led by the abbot and the old masters, makes its way to the burial mound. They are followed by a small, select group of the temple's most important patrons and devoted local believers. This is not a public spectacle, but a sacred ceremony. They gather around the mound. The guardian monk, who has tended to this spot for 1,000 days, performs a final purification, sprinkling water and scattering blessed rice. The abbot begins a slow, deep chant, the resonant words of a sutra dedicated to the Buddhas of the past, present, and future. The other monks join in. Their combined voices a powerful wave of sound that seems to make the ancient trees themselves tremble. The chanting ceases, and a profound silence falls over the clearing. The moment has come. Several strong monks step forward with shovels and heavy pry bars. They bow to the tomb, then they begin to dig. The sound of their work is sharp and deliberate. They carefully remove the layers of earth that have covered your stone-lidded chamber for 3 years. It's a slow, painstaking process. They are not just digging, they are excavating a holy site. Finally, their shovels hit stone. They clear the remaining earth away, revealing the great, grey stone lid that has been your ceiling. It sits there, ancient and implacable. The monks slide their pry bars into the seams between the lid and the walls of the chamber. The abbot gives a nod. With a great, coordinated heave, they put their weight into the bars. There is a deep, groaning, scraping sound as the seal of plaster and time is broken. The lid, impossibly heavy, shifts. They work it slowly, carefully, sliding it back, opening your world to the light for the first time in 1,000 days. An opening appears, a square of darkness in the sand-dappled forest floor. An odor emanates from the opening. It is not the foul stench of decay they might have feared. It is a dry, earthy smell, the scent of old stone, of charcoal, and a faint, strange, vaguely sweet and spicy aroma, the lingering ghost of the resins and herbs from your long diet. It is the smell of preservation, a good sign. The abbot, holding a candle, is the first to peer inside. The other monks and patrons crane their necks, their hearts pounding. The silence is absolute. Everyone holds their breath. What will they see, the decomposed remains of a failed ascetic or the miracle they have prayed for? The abbot straightens up. His face is unreadable, but his eyes are wide. He turns to the assembled monks and gives a slow, solemn nod. A collective sigh of awe and relief ripples through the small crowd. This moment of opening the tomb is the climax of the entire saga. It is a moment fraught with incredible tension and religious significance. A little known detail of some of these exhumations is the presence of specific items in the tomb besides the monk. Sometimes, small scrolls with sutras written on them, or other minor religious artifacts were interred with the monk, further consecrating the space. The condition of these items would also have been seen as a sign of the success or failure of the preservation. The historical debate here is, naturally, about the miracle. How many of these ceremonies ended in success as mentioned? We only know of the ones that worked. Modern scholars suggest the number of successful Sokushinbutsu is incredibly small, perhaps only 2 dozen or so have ever been officially verified across all of Japan. For every one of these successes, there may have been hundreds of failures. Hundreds of solemn ceremonies that ended in quiet disappointment and were sealed too. The successful few became legends, their stories amplified over the centuries, creating the impression that this was a more common or attainable goal than it actually was. 2 monks are chosen to descend into the chamber. They lower themselves into the cramped space. Gently, reverently, they attach ropes to your body. You are rigid, lightweight, a dry husk. They pass the ropes to the monks above, and slowly, carefully, you are lifted from your tomb. You rise from the earth, back into the world of light and air. You emerge, still in your perfect lotus posture, a silent, motionless figure of profound stillness. The ceremony of opening is complete. The moment of judgment is at hand. You are brought into the light, the sun, which you have not felt for 3 years. Illuminates your form. The monks lay you gently on a clean white cloth that has been prepared on the ground. The small crowd gathers closer, their faces a mixture of wonder, reverence, and trepidation. The moment of truth. The abbot kneels beside you. He performs a close, careful examination. He looks for the signs of decay, the smell of putrefaction, the presence of mold, the disintegration of flesh. He finds none. Your skin is intact. It is dark, the color of old leather or smoked wood, and drawn taut against your bones. It is completely dry to the touch. Your form is perfectly preserved. Your hands are still in their meditative mudra. Your legs are still locked in the lotus position. Your face is calm. Your eyes closed. Your mouth slightly parted. You are not a corpse. You are a statue carved from faith and time. The abbot rises and turns to the assembly. His voice, thick with emotion, rings out in the silent forest. Sokushinbutsu. He declares you are Buddha in this very body. The miracle is confirmed. A wave of hushed, joyous exclamations passes through the crowd. Some monks fall to their knees. Their hands pressed together in prayer. Tears of joy stream down their faces. The patrons and villagers look on with wide-eyed awe, witnessing a moment that will be told and retold for generations. Your long, arduous journey has reached its triumphant conclusion. You have succeeded. You have conquered the final enemy, decay. You have followed in the footsteps of the great master Kobadoshi and achieved a form of immortality. Now a new phase of your existence begins. You are no longer a mere man, no longer just a monk. You are a holy relic, a sacred object of veneration. Your body is carefully carried back to the temple in a solemn procession. You are not taken to a graveyard, but to the made whole, or to a special, newly constructed shrine. There, you are prepared for your new role. Your dry, leathery form is dressed in the finest brocade robes, colorful and ornate. A gilded crown or headdress might be placed upon your head. Prayer beads are draped around your neck. You are being enthroned. This dressing of the mummy is a crucial and fascinating part of the ritual. It represents the transformation from ascetic to Buddha. You shed your simple, worn-out robes of a practitioner and are adorned in the glorious raiment of an enlightened being. It's a powerful visual statement. The suffering is over, and the glory has been revealed. You are placed on an altar, seated on a lotus-shaped throne, often enclosed in a glass or wooden case with a window for viewing. You are now the centerpiece of the temple, its most precious treasure. The public is now invited to see you. Pilgrims travel from all over the country to witness the miracle of the incorruptible flesh. They come to pray to you, to ask for your blessings, to leave offerings of incense, food, and money. They look upon your silent, seated form and see a tangible link between the human world and the divine. Your story inspires countless others, strengthening the faith of the community and ensuring the prosperity of your temple for centuries to come. The academic debate surrounding the successful Sokushinbutsu is focused on the definition of success. What constitutes incorruptible? Some of the existing mummies are incredibly well preserved, true marvels of natural and intentional processes. Others are less so. Some show signs of mold, or have required restorative work over the centuries. A few are essentially skeletons held together by dried skin and robes. The line between a perfect Sokushinbutsu and a partially successful one is blurry. The label of success was often a matter of interpretation and faith, declared by the temple authorities and accepted by the believers. You are now an object of perpetual veneration. Your existence has shifted from a personal spiritual quest to a public, communal role. You are a silent teacher. Your very formal sermon on the power of faith and the possibility of transcending human limitations. You sit on your altar, a timeless, motionless beacon, while the seasons turn and the centuries roll by outside the temple walls. You have become a god. Your success is a glorious, faith-affirming spectacle. Your enshrined form becomes a beacon for the entire region. But as you sit in your silent, brocaded glory, a quiet, unspoken roof lingers in the shadows of the temple cemetery. Not everyone succeeds. In fact, most fail. Let's rewind the clock. Imagine that 1,000-day vigil ending differently. The monks gather. The abbot chants. The heavy stone lid is pried open. But the smell that emerges from the tomb is not the dry, earthy scent of preservation. It is the unmistakable, sickeningly sweet odor of decay. The abbot peers inside, his face grim. He sees not a serene, intact figure, but a slumped, discolored form, ravaged by mold and bacteria. The flesh has begun to slough away from the bones. The miracle has not occurred. The aspirant has failed. What happens then? There is no public announcement of this failure. There is no ceremony of shame. There is only a quiet, somber efficiency. The moment is treated with a deep sense of respect and pity for the monk who gave his all but, for whatever reason, did not achieve the final goal. His remains are not brought to the temple to be dressed in fine robes. They are not placed on an altar. Instead, the stone lid of the tomb is quietly replaced. The tomb is sealed, not for another 1,000 days, but forever. The earth is shoveled back over the stone, and the mound is remade. An unmarked stone might be placed on the mound, or perhaps no marker at all. His name is not added to the official lineage of the temple's great masters. His story is not told to inspire the faithful. He becomes one of the silent ones, a forgotten soul whose immense sacrifice ended in the simple, inescapable reality of mortal decay. This process of dealing with failure is one of the most human and poignant aspects of the entire Sokushinbutsu tradition. It highlights the immense risk involved. For every celebrated success story, there are an unknown number of these silent failures. The temple cemeteries of the mountains in northern Japan are likely dotted with the unmarked, sealed tombs of these forgotten aspirants. One of the more obscure parts of this tradition is the why of the failure. From the temple's perspective, it was never a failure of the method, but of the individual. Perhaps his faith wavered in the final moments. Perhaps he harbored some secret, unpurified attachment in his heart. Perhaps his meditative concentration was not strong enough. The failure was seen as a spiritual shortcoming, a sign that the monk was not yet ready for boot out. It became a cautionary tale, a lesson for the other monks on the importance of absolute, unwavering devotion. From a modern scientific perspective, the reasons for failure are much more prosaic. The monk may have had a higher body fat percentage to begin with. His diet might not have been extreme enough. He may have had a gut microbiome that was particularly resilient. The soil of his tomb might have been more humid, or the stone seal not perfectly airtight. 1,000 tiny, mundane variables could have tipped the scales from preservation to decomposition. The academic debate here is statistical. Just how high was the failure rate? It's almost impossible to know for sure. The temples did not keep records of their failures. We can only infer from the very small number of known successes compared to the long history of the practice. Some historians estimate that for every one successful Sokushinbutsu, there may have been dozens, or even hundreds, of attempts. The path was a razor's edge, with the vast majority falling into the abyss of ordinary decay. The existence of these forgotten failures casts a different light on your own success. It makes your enshrined form seem less like the inevitable result of a sacred formula and more like a statistical anomaly. A winning lottery ticket in a game of terrifyingly high stakes. Your preservation is not just a testament to your own faith, but also to a lucky confluence of biology, chemistry, geometry, and perhaps a little bit of grace. You sit on your altar, a symbol of ultimate victory. But your victory is haunted by the silent, invisible chorus of those who walked the same path, endured the same hardships, and dreamed the same dream, only to be reclaimed by the earth in the end. Their forgotten stories are part of your own, a quiet reminder of the profound fragility of the human body and the immense, almost impossible, ambition of trying to defy it. For centuries, you sit in your silent, enthroned state. The world outside the temple walls changes in ways you could never have imagined. The age of samurai warriors, the world you knew, fades into history. New leaders, new ideas, and new technologies begin to arrive from over the sea. Japan is opening itself to the West, and the nation is undergoing a seismic shift. This new era, known as the Meiji Restoration, is a time of rapid modernization, and it has little patience for the ancient, mystical traditions of the past. The new government, in its rush to create a civilized and modern nation that can stand alongside the Western powers, begins to look critically at its own cultural practices. Buddhism itself comes under pressure, and ancient folk traditions are viewed with suspicion, as relics of a superstitious and feudal past. And then, in the year 1872, the hammer falls. The Meiji government officially outlaws the practice of Sokushinbutsu. It is banned, not just as a religious practice, but under laws forbidding the desecration of graves and assisting in suicide. The very act that turned you into a Buddha is now a crime. Your life's work is now illegal. The government's reasoning is clear. In their eyes, this is not a sacred act of religious devotion, it is a barbaric, antiquated form of self-destruction. It is an embarrassment to a modern nation that is trying to showcase its scientific and social progress. The idea of a man intentionally starving and poisoning himself to become a mummy is seen as something from the Dark Ages, something that needs to be stamped out. For the temples that house you and the other Sokushinbutsu, this is a difficult and confusing time. The practice itself is forced to stop. There will be no new aspirants walking the 1,000-day path. No new tombs will be dug. The lineage of living Buddhas is forcibly brought to an end. The last monk to be sealed in a tomb, a man named Tetsumonkai, had to have his followers exhume him in secret, years after the ban, to avoid prosecution by the authorities. Your existence, and that of the other enshrined mummies, becomes a strange anachronism. You are a relic of the forbidden faith, a symbol of a past that the government is actively trying to erase. You are still venerated by the local community and the monks of your temple, but you are no longer a celebrated symbol of the nation's spiritual power. You are a quiet, slightly awkward secret of the past. A little-known consequence of this ban was the effect it had on the Shugendo tradition itself. The practice of Sokushinbutsu was the ultimate expression of the mountain ascetics path. With this ultimate goal now forbidden, the entire tradition was forced to adapt and change. The extreme asceticism was toned down, and the focus shifted more towards community service, rituals for the living, and preserving the traditions in a less life-threatening form. The ban didn't kill the faith, but it cut out its most radical and powerful heart. The historical debate here centers on the nature of this modernization. Was the ban a necessary step forward? A move away from a cruel and unhealthy practice, protecting people from a dangerous religious extremism, or was it an act of cultural vandalism? A top-down imposition of a westernized worldview that failed to understand or respect the profound spiritual meaning behind the ritual. It's a classic conflict between traditional values and modernizing imperatives. And your silent, seated form is right at the center of that storm. As the years pass and Japan continues to modernize, your story, once a household tale of faith, begins to fade from the national consciousness. You become more of a local curiosity, a strange footnote in the history books. Tourists might come to see the Japanese mummy, looking at you not with the eyes of faith, but with the detached curiosity of a visitor in a museum of oddities. The world that created you is gone. The philosophical and spiritual ecosystem in which your incredible journey made perfect sense has vanished, replaced by a world of science, industry, and secularism. Use it in your glass case. A silent ambassador from a lost world, your robes slowly gathering dust, your purpose and meaning shifting with the changing times. The government may have forbidden others from following in your footsteps, but they cannot erase you. You remain, a testament to a form of faith so extreme it became illegal. The 20th century rolls on. The world outside your temple walls experiences wars, technological revolutions, and cultural upheavals that are beyond the wildest imaginations of the era you knew. And then, a new kind of visitor begins to arrive at the temple. They do not come with offerings of incense or prayers. They come with notebooks, cameras, and strange, humming machines. They are scientists, historians, and anthropologists, and they look at you with a new kind of gaze, the gaze of modern science. For the first time, your sacred, incorruptible body is to be subjected to scientific scrutiny. In the mid-20th century, with the permission of the temple authorities, researchers are allowed to conduct non-invasive studies on you and the other existing Sokushinbutsu. They are trying to solve the mystery of your preservation, not with faith, but with data. You are carefully removed from your shrine. The ancient, delicate robes are gently taken off, and then you are subjected to the strange, invisible light of an X-ray machine. The images that emerge are astounding. They show a perfectly preserved skeleton, still locked in the lotus position. The bones are clear and dense, showing signs of the extreme dietary stress you endured. The scientists can see your insides for the first time, confirming the complete absence of internal organs, which have either been surgically removed in some cases or have completely desiccated and collapsed into an unidentifiable mass at the bottom of your torso cavity. Later, with even more advanced technology, you might be put through a CT scanner. This provides a three-dimensional image of your body, allowing researchers to digitally slice through you and examine every detail. They can see the condition of your teeth, confirming a diet of rough, fibrous materials. They can analyze the density of your bones. In some cases, they find small stones or other objects in the abdominal cavity, confirming historical accounts that some monks would swallow objects to help weigh down their bodies and prevent them from floating if their tomb accidentally flooded. This is a bizarre and little-known detail of the practice, a kind of spiritual ballast. These scans help to answer some questions. They confirm the extreme physical toll of the process. They show that you are not a hoax, not a statue, but the genuine, preserved remains of a human being who underwent an incredible ordeal. But they also raise new questions and fuel new debates. Scientists analyze small samples of your hair or skin. When permitted, they look for traces of the Urush-IT, trying to determine if it was a key factor in your preservation. As mentioned, the results are mixed. Some mummies show clear evidence of the toxic lacquer, while others do not. This leads to the ongoing scientific debate: was the preservation a result of the monk's intentional actions, the diet, the poison, or was it primarily a result of the environment, the cold, dry tomb, the charcoal bed? Most modern scholars now believe it was a combination of both, a perfect storm of intentional preparation and fortunate natural conditions. You didn't just become a mummy, you made yourself the perfect candidate for natural mummification. Another fascinating area of study is the analysis of the gut contents of the mummies. By examining the desiccated material in the abdominal cavity, scientists have been able to identify pollen and plant fragments. Confirming the tree-to diet described in temple lore, they can identify the specific types of pine bark, herbs, and nuts you consumed in your final years, providing a direct, physical link back to your long, arduous practice. Through all this, you remain silent, an object of study. You have transitioned from a man, to a Buddha, to a historical artifact, and now, to a scientific specimen. Each new identity is layered over the previous ones. For the monks of the temple, you are still a holy Buddha. For the local villagers, you are a source of pride and blessings. For the historians, you are a window into the world of feudal Japan. And for the scientists, you are a medical marvel, a puzzle of human endurance and natural preservation. You are all of these things at once. The scientific gaze does not diminish your sacredness in the eyes of the faithful, it simply adds another layer of meaning to your existence. The X-rays and CT scans, in their own way, simply confirm the truth of your story. They provide a new, modern language to describe the incredible journey you undertook. A journey that pushed a human body and a human spirit to their absolute, and perhaps, final, limits. The hum of the CT scanner fades. The flash of the camera is a distant memory. The scientific gaze, for all its power to measure and analyze, eventually withdraws, leaving you once again in the quiet sanctity of your temple. You are returned to your altar, dressed again in your fine robes, the silent Buddha seated in the heart of a world that no longer quite understands you. And here, in the eternal stillness, you have time to contemplate the journey, not as the man who endured it, but from this new, timeless perspective. You are the finished product, the result of an equation of faith so extreme that its variables were starvation, poison, and a living entombment. What was the force that drove you? What is this thing called faith, when it is taken to such an absolute, terrifying extreme? This is the final and most profound question, the one that lingers long after the scientific data has been filed away. It is the true weight of your legacy. It wasn't just a desire to escape the cycle of rebirth. It was more complex than that. Was it a profound desire to serve as a beacon for others? A selfless act of ultimate compassion, or was it, in its own way, a form of ultimate ambition, a desire to achieve a permanence under reverence that ordinary life could never offer? Historians and theologians will debate this forever. They will argue whether your act was one of supreme spiritual attainment or a manifestation of a deep-seated cultural melancholy, a desire for oblivion dressed in the robes of enlightenment. They will never know. The truth is locked inside your silent, desiccated form, a complex tapestry of motivations that perhaps even you, the man who lived it, could never have fully untangled. Your continued existence requires its own kind of faith, a faith enacted by the generations of monks who have cared for you. This is a final, strange detail of your journey that few consider. You are not just left on your altar to gather dust. Over the centuries, your robes have been changed. When they become frayed and worn, the monks perform a ceremony, a changing of the robes, dressing you in new, brilliant silks. Sometimes, small repairs have been made to your form. A flake of dry skin carefully glued back into place, a joint stabilized with a hidden pin. This is an act of continuous, active veneration. Your preservation is not a static event that ended 1,000 days after you were sealed in your tomb. It is an ongoing relationship between you and the living. You have become a mirror. The faithful pilgrim looks at you and sees the power of devotion, the proof that the spirit can triumph over the flesh. The tourist looks at you and sees a macabre curiosity, a fascinating relic from a weird Japan of the past. The scientist looks at you and sees a data set, a marvel of human physiology and natural preservation. They all see what they are prepared to see. You simply sit, and you contain all of these truths at once. Your journey began with a single choice, on a misty mountain path. It was the choice to erase yourself, to strip away everything that made you a person, in the hopes of becoming something more. You succeeded. You erased the farmer, the fisherman, the man with a name and a past. You became a process. You became a symbol. And then, finally, you became a story. The story that we have just walked through together, here in the quiet of the night. The weight of your faith was the weight of every grain of rice you refused, every splinter of bark you consumed, every drop of poison you drank. It was the weight of the stone lid of your tomb. But in the end, its truest weight is the question it leaves behind. A question that hangs in the air of this ancient temple, as silent and as permanent as you are. To what great, terrifying, and beautiful lengths will a human being go, in search of something eternal? The story is fading now, like the last wisp of incense smoke curling towards the temple ceiling. The sharp details of your long journey, the taste of pine bark, the chill of the mountain stream, the absolute darkness of the tomb-house opening, dissolving into the quiet hum of your room. Let them drift. Let the images of the misty mountains and the ancient cedars become the landscape of your own approaching dreams. The weight of that incredible faith is not yours to carry. You can set it down now, here at the edge of sleep. Your own journey tonight is not one of hardship, but one of gentle, easy rest. The final bell has rung, its single, clear note signaling not an end, but a deep and welcome peace. The world can wait. The silence is yours now. The stillness is yours. Let the darkness be a soft, warm blanket. Let your breath be the slow, quiet rhythm of a tide on a distant shore. Just listen to the quiet and drift. The end of the article. Good night.